Our guest today is the HeyBike Horizon. It is a 14-watt full suspension step-through e-bike that has one super secret feature that we're going to talk about in a minute. And I'm going to give you a hint about what it is, and it has to do with why it's two different colors. But let's go through some of the features first. Let's start at the gauge. Has this big giant full screen gauge, 5 power modes, all the switch gear. It'll run throttle only, pedal assist, lots of extra buttons. It has RSX hydraulic brakes that are paired to these really nice pedal shaped rotors that actually help with cooling, which help keep it slow. Radial mounted brake calipers, really nice. Full suspension fork with a lockout. You can actually control. It goes from fully locked out to different compression damping, so you can kind of control how stiff it is. And then this lever right here gives you preload. You can change how much energy it takes for it to start moving. I run them full open. If I buy a bike with suspension, I want to feel the suspension work. Now the rear suspension, there's actually something special about this. This is actually a pretty advanced rear swing arm design. This is called a horse link, sometimes called a 4-bar suspension. And it's a suspension type that's used on a lot of really high-end mountain bikes. And what the advantage is of a horse link is that when you hit a bump, the axle path is actually backwards. So if you hit a bump, it actually helps the suspension compress and roll over the bump smoothly. A lot of other suspension designs, the axle path is actually forward. So when you hit a bump, you're actually fighting the bump. It's pushing the axle into it. It makes the suspension feel a little bit more harsh. We have our nice little shock right here. And one thing that's also the Horizon comes with is this really fantastic rack. For a lot of bikes, the rack is an add-on. You have to buy extra. This comes with it, and it makes it almost like a mini cargo bike right off the bat. Speaking of racks, it does have gussets on the front, so you could add a front rack. I would really recommend that. I think a basket on the front, you could really enhance the capability of this bike even further. It has a Shimano 7-speed derailleur. It's a slightly up-spec derailleur, and it even comes with this really great cage over the derailleur, so it prevents it from getting hit or broken. Nice touch. One of my favorite features about this bike is that it has a headlight and a tail light, and HeyBike is lit up when the bike is powered on. I think that is so fantastic. But check out these little orange things right here. You know what that is? They are turn signals. Look at that. And of course we have a headlight on and off. And unlike a lot of other e-bikes where the taillight is just has a AA battery in it, whatever, this taillight is wired directly into the system and also has the turn signals built into it. Nice touch. And I love how the HeyBike is lit up like that. That's just really great. Now, the secret feature that I told you about, that is the different colors. Can you see what's going on here? That's a hinge. This is a folding e-bike. We can actually use this, unclip it. The front of the bike will swing around to the back of the bike. The handlebar, look at this, look what it does. It also has a quick release clip, and we can swing the handlebar out of the way for storage. Now, there's another little comfort feature here. We can change the length of the handlebar. There's a quick release here. We can raise or lower the handlebar based on our comfort preference. I prefer it all the way down, but I love that you have the adjustability to put it where you want it. And of course, like many other e-bikes out there, we have a quick release on the seat that we can adjust the seat height for our needs. Got a nice comfortable looking seat here. And then finally, the 14-watt hub drive motor. And if you look at the detailing on it, the way that the spokes tie into it, it's a really high quality 1400 watt power motor. Now, HeyBike is a little pricier than some of the other things in the competition, but it comes with a lot, right? We get the headlights, we have a 50-mile range, we have the big motor, we have the big battery. That's all well and good. But what is it like to actually ride? Let's get to the fun part. Let's ride this thing. Well, first impressions are the build quality. You really the quality kind of comes across everywhere. The hydraulic brakes have really good feel. They're bled really nice. It's a slightly up-spec Shimano rear derailleur. It shifts beautifully. The fit and finish on the frame is stunning. Yeah, it's a really good high quality paint job. The suspension all works really well. So while it does seem to cost a little bit more, you feel the quality right off the bat. Time for our high-speed test. How fast will the Horizon go? What can we get? Let's go to our top gear, 5th power mode, and let's go. 38. Oh, can we get over 40? Oh, 40? 40 miles an hour. That's plenty quick, especially on these big, chunky tires. 40 miles an hour is fast. Whew. Into our S-curve. The handling test. How does the, oh, yes. Handles very well through our S-curve. Really nice. Again, the brakes are really good and precise. You can really feel where the engagement is on the brake. That's really nice. Now we gotta start climbing out of the park. Oh man, power mode 5. It just motors. We're going 23 miles an hour up this hill. I'm hardly pedaling at all. Lots of power. The power keeps going for a second after you stop pedaling, and then it takes it a second for it to kick back on when you start pedaling again. All right, 9% grade through here. We're going about 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. I just love the animation. I hope you can see that on camera. The little dotted lines on the road speeding past. It's kind of cute. I like it. All right, here we go. Our 11% uphill grade. Power mode 5. How fast are we gonna go up this 11% grade? 22, 21, 20 miles an hour up in 11% grade. I'm pedaling a little bit, not really hard. 18 miles an hour at the top. Wow. So yeah, that's what a 14-watt motor will get you. All right, so let's throttle back down to power mode 1 through this downhill section. Beautiful morning, a little chilly, a little bit of nip in the air. It's been an awfully warm fall, I have no complaints. So let's talk about the switchgear, because this one offers a little bit more than most. We do have our thumb throttle right here. Very common on a lot of bikes. We have our 7-speed shifter, hydraulic brakes. Talked about that a little bit, but there's a bunch of other buttons on here too. Maybe once we get around the corner, I'll go through those. So the switchgear, we have our throttle right here, and underneath it we have an auto button. The auto button will turn the headlights on and off automatically based on the temperature, on how light it is. Just opposite of that, we have our horn button, just in time for the tunnel. So are we ready for a horn test? Yeah, that's good and loud. Nice, that's a high volume horn. Above that, it has probably what are my favorite feature on this bike. It's so silly. It has turn signals. There's a little turn signal switch right here, and there's orange lights in the, oh, loud semi. And there's orange lights in the headlight and tail light that blink with the turn signal switch, just like a motorcycle. However, there's no indicator on the gauge if it's working, so you can be like your grandpa and ride around all day with your left turn signal on. So it's the downside. And then above that, we have a headlight switch, on-off headlight switch with a nice big mechanical button. I really like that. Here's our control module, our little pod that controls all of our power modes, power up and down. The power button's right here on the front. We have an info button and then like a select button on the side. So that's pretty standard normal. But these other switches are really great. Now, like most e-bikes, I can run it on throttle only. Feet off the peg, I'm just using the throttle to go. Or I can pedal, and as I pedal, the engine will kick on. Or I can turn the battery and the motor completely off and have it be completely analog. Power mode 1 doesn't really go very fast in power mode 1, which I honestly think that's a really nice feature, that it's If I want to go slower, put it in power mode 1. And of course, you know, increasing power modes will go a little faster, and power mode 3 goes quicker still. I find myself using 2 and 3 the most. Since we're going downhill, we're just gonna keep it in power mode 1. And that seems to be how I use most e-bikes, is I'll keep it in power mode 1 until I need some power, then I'll crank up the power to get up a big hill, and your battery will just last you a lot longer that way. Freeway seems loud today. There's not much traffic on it. I really love that I get to do this and test out these e-bikes, because I think they're just great to ride. You know, I mentioned this in other videos, but you know, Americans kind of ruined bicycles. We made it so you had to put on the little uniform and do all these things before you go for a bike ride. Put on your little spandex jammies with all the letters and logos all over them, and yeah, take it really serious. And we kind of lost sight of just the joy of riding a bicycle, and how practical they can be, and how efficient they are, and how useful. And if you live someplace with hills like I do, Salt Lake City, everything's on a hill, having a power to help you get up and down the hills is amazing, because you can get to your destination without being soaked in sweat. You can just, whatever you're wearing, hop on your bicycle, go for a ride, do what you need to do. And riding bikes are so much fun, the way you get to see the world, right? I mean, this is a beautiful fall morning. The leaves are starting to turn color. We have some trees turning red and yellow, and you know, enjoying these bike paths where I'm not having to fight with traffic and just enjoying the morning. Man, doesn't get much better than that. So this bike does have nice big chunky tires, so let's do our single track test. Full suspension, and as expected, it is rock solid and stable as we motor through our narrow little single track path here. It shows this bike is capable, oh, don't hit the stick, of a little bit of adventuring. Really good. You know, we talked earlier that this thing has the 4-bar horse suspension on the rear. It keeps the bike really planted and stable on our little single track test, because maybe where you live, you don't have these perfectly groomed, perfectly smooth bike paths. You have to take a dirt path or a dirt road to get where you want to go. The Horizon can handle it. The nice big wide chunky 4-inch wide tires not only provide plenty of grip, but it's also a little added suspension. Ooh, puddle. Which brings us to full fenders. Nice full fenders, so if you do have to splash through water, you're not gonna have a mud stripe up your backside. Here we go. Time for our lap around Sugar House Park as I get run off the road. See? Nice having those big chunky tires and full suspension for you when you get run off the road, right? Drama free. Another puddle. Oh man, beautiful morning. Mount Olympus is a little backlit this morning. Can't quite see the detailing. It's all right. She's still pretty up there in all of her glory. Let's go to power mode 5 and just churn out a lap. Look at that. Throttle only, no pedaling. 25 miles an hour on just the throttle through the park. I believe the speed limit in the park is 20 miles an hour. I could get a speeding ticket on my e-bike. Maybe we'll go down to power mode 3 just to be a little bit more polite. We don't need to be so excessive. Man, beautiful morning. Look at the trees turning color. Just lovely. I know I keep saying it, but man, this is the joy of a bicycle. Smelling the smells, beautiful, lovely morning like this, the practicality of it. I'm using pure motor, power mode 3, 18 miles an hour. What does power mode 4 get us to? 20. So about a 2 mile an hour increment per power mode is kind of what it seems like. That's nice. I like it. But I also kind of like to pedal. Let's talk about the seat for a second. It's not especially big and it's not especially small. It seems to kind of split the difference. And I think they kind of got it right. It's got a lot of cushion in it. The really big seats, you know, when you're shopping for a bicycle and you see that big giant seat, you think, oh, that's going to be nice. But the reality is the big giant seats they're hard to pedal on because they're in the way. Your legs rub on them and it's just kind of uncomfortable. Little tiny seats, I mean, that's what's good if you're on like a a more performance-oriented bicycle, like all my other mountain bikes have the tiny little seats, they're perfect for the purpose. But a townie like this, where you're kind of getting places, you're kind of sitting, it's a little bit more casual. You do want a seat that's a little comfortable, but not too big. I know there's a lot of talking about a saddle there, but the long and the short of it is, or maybe I should say the narrow and the wide of it is, the seat on the Horizon got it right. It's quite comfortable. Through another tight turn. Nice and stable. Really am a fan of how stable this bike is. It is a little bit longer than some of the other bikes we've tested, and I think that adds to the stability of it. Combined with the higher quality full suspension, bike's easy to ride. Very confidence inspiring. I like it. As we complete our first lap around the park, the HeyBike continues to impress as we get ready to head into our more adventure-y portion of our ride. One thing I really like about this bike is it's really comfortable to stand on the pedals with. And when you're on rougher terrain, it's nice to get off the saddle, stand up, do some wheelies, I guess, and use your legs as extra shock absorbers. The geometry of this bike and the seating position really make it nice and easy and comfortable to stand up on, and I really like that about it. Big hill test. I think we can do this one without any pedaling at all. Let's go. Oh, working. I'm not pedaling. I'm not gonna do it. 10 miles an hour. 9, 8. It did it. How good was that? I think that's our first bike that's made it up there without any assistance in a long time. And I didn't even go sideways or anything. I went straight, right up the middle. All right, let's head back up the hill. So we've talked a lot about all these things I really like about the HeyBike Horizon, but nothing is perfect. There is no flawless product in the world. What are some of the things I don't like about the HeyBike Horizon? And I hate to say it, there are a few things that are a little less than perfect. Let's go over them. The first is, because we have this adjustable handlebar that we can control the height, and we can, fold it down. There's a little bit of play in the steering. So, the bike goes 40 miles an hour. We got it up to 40 miles an hour. Having a little bit of play in here, I don't love that. Is it a deal breaker? I don't think so. I think it's just something to kind of be aware of. When you ride it at a mellower speed, at a slower pace, you don't even notice it. It really only becomes noticeable when you start going really quick. So there's one thing. The other thing about it is the battery gauge. I don't know how well you can see it in the light, but the battery level seems to change based on what I'm doing. So if I'm in power mode 5, going up a steep hill, the battery level will drop to like 3 bars, even though I know it's fully charged. And of course, right now it's showing 5 bars. So I don't really fully trust my battery level. Now, there is an app you can get you can install, and it'll talk to the bike, and you can control all these extra things. But that's something that makes me a little, I wish it didn't do that. Now, once you have the bike and you're riding it on your rig, you'll know how far you can go, and I think it'll become less of an issue. And then lastly, and this is a weird one, I haven't really experienced this too many times before, but the hub drive, it's obviously a higher quality motor. And I think because it's new and it has higher tolerances in it, sometimes the freewheel kind of sticks. And so then the freewheel spins forward for a second, then releases and spins forward for a second, and it sounds really weird, and you're like, what's going on? It just kind of feels weird. And I suspect that once you ride it a little bit, it'll go away and it'll stop being an issue altogether, and you won't even have to worry about it. So, but there is that. Are any of these things deal breakers as far as I'm concerned? Nah, not really. It doesn't really bother me. But you want to be informed. You want to know what to expect should you pick up one of these. So as we ride this in kind of more of the environment that it's going to spend most of its time in, I want to talk for a second about how much I really like the headlight taillight configuration on this thing. I love that it has the turn signals built in. I love the little auto button so that they just turn on automatically when it gets dark. I think that's a real safety feature, especially for something that realistically goes the same speed as the traffic around it. So really nice touch, HeyBike. I think that's a really big added feature. Now, another thing that I was really impressed with about this is when you go through the manual, there's a secret menu. It's not really secret, I guess, because it's inside the manual. But if you hold down a couple buttons simultaneously on this pod right here, it'll take you into a menu where you can configure almost every aspect of the bike. You want to change the top speed per power mode, it'll let you do it. You want to change how the power comes on, you can do it. You have so much control over the basic functionality of the bike itself that you don't see on every other e-bike out there. And I think that's just absolutely great. All right, back onto our bike path. So who do I think the HeyBike Horizon is for? You know, it has a lot going for it. And I think pretty much almost anybody out there who's considering an e-bike, this would really, I think, appeal to. The step-through thing is fantastic. I know Americans kind of get like it's a girl's bike, it's a boy's bike. Nah, that doesn't matter. The step-through makes it a lot easier to get on and off of, especially maybe if you haven't been exercising for a while and you're trying to get back into things. Swinging your leg over the top of a bicycle is hard. You know, and especially you got to remember, these e-bikes can be a little bit heavier. I think this one is in the range of 80 pounds. The step-through just makes that a lot easier. The folding nature of this. You know, if you live in a place that you don't have a ton of space, right? And you want to just stuff it into a corner over the winter months, it's great. You can fold it in half, put it in your shed in the backyard, and take up a significantly less space than when it's fully extended. The overall build quality of this thing just really, really impresses me. I don't think there's a flaw in the paint. I love the two-tone color, this green with the cream white. There's, I think, 4 different color options. One of the color options is actually a kind of a red yellow, really pretty. They're calling that one a special edition. It's really nice. And I like the customization. You don't have to just get the black one or the white one. You can get an actual color, and I think that's just great. I think that's really nice. All right, we're just gonna let's put it up to power mode 5 and wrap this video up. 23 miles an hour up the hill. Gotta love it. So, final thoughts on the HeyBike Horizon. I think this bike has a lot going for it. The folding nature of it, the stability, the build quality. You just really can't say enough about the build quality. The more you look at it and you look at the details and the quality of the welds and you know, the little fluting on the horse link itself, you know, a lot of thought went into this bike, and I think it shows. If you would like to learn more about this bike, I have a link for you in the description. I also have this coupon code for you that will save you a little bit of cash if you choose to buy one. If you're considering the HeyBike Horizon, I think you should. I think it's a great bike. I think it has a lot to offer. Check it out. I think you'll like it. I like it. Thanks for riding with me today. I had a great time going for a ride with you today on this lovely fall morning. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.